Good morning, everyone. Let's do some prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Tatsavitravarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat Asto Ma Sadgamya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya Mrityurma Mritam Gamya Om Sehna Bhavatu Sehna Bhunaktu Saviryam Karvavahi Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahi Om Shanti 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 Om. Okay, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. That's what we are going through these days. And this is towards the end of this section, which is called a Madhu Brahman. So chapter 2 and section number 5. And this verse is verse number 16 in this section. So we'll try to finish it today. The last 4 verses, they go together. You will see that first part of these verses, he is repeating in all of these 4 verses. Idam ve tat madhu dadhyang. This dadhyang means the dadichi. You remember last week I told you the story about Rishi Dadichi. Dadhyang atharvarnoho ashvin bhyam uvach tat et rishi pashyan ev uchat tadvam naraha sanye dans ugram vishkrimonomi tat yatrun vrishtim dadyang yat adhyam avarnoh va ashvasya shirshana prayadim uvach iti. This is verily that meditation on mutual aids which Dadhichi versed in the Atharva Ved imparted to the 2 Ashwins. And Ashwins are those Ashwin Kumars. Observing this deed, the seer said, O Ashwins, in human form, that fearful deed of yours for the sake of gain, called Dansa, I will reveal as a cloud does rain, and how you acquired that meditation on mutual aids, which the Dhichi, versed in the Atharva Ved, imparted to you through a horse's head. And this was the story I told you last week. I hope you still remember that. Because Rishi Dadichi is a great devotee of Lord Shiva. And he is known for his own giving up the body to make a vajra out of his bones, the asthis. And that vajra could kill Vritrasur. There are a lot of verses about that in the Vedas. So Dadichi Riji. So over here, this mantra says, which has been said actually so far in this Madhu Vidya, honey meditation, which Rishi Dadichi versed in Atharva Ved. And he taught that to twin gods, the Ashwins. And when he taught it to Ashwin Kumars, that was a different context. In the context which was dealing with the rites and the rituals, which are called pravargya. In that kind of a rites and ritual, It is only hinted but not clearly expressed. Pravagya. And whatever he said, it's reproduced here in this mantra. And the seer said, O Ashwins, in human form, just as a thunder reveals the forthcoming rain, even so I declare here that mighty and fearful deeds of yours, the cutting off the head of the Dichi and fixing in its place the horse's head, which you did in meditation, and which sage the Dichi revealed to you through the head of the horse, and afterwards you fix the human head on that body again. Even though this act of Ashwins, it's worth condemning, but it reveals the glory of the self-knowledge, which is very difficult to attain and very difficult to impart to. Cutting off the head really means letting go of the ego. And the same message was given when Lord Shiva cut the head of his own son. We are all familiar with that. Because out of ego, he was fighting with everybody. That was the ego. So cutting the head off the Ganesh. And the Ganesh name was given later on when he had the head of an elephant. So over here also, this cutting of the head of the Dichi Rishi by the Ashwin Kumars is representing that. Okay, so this self-knowledge, very difficult to attain and very difficult to understand. And in order to truly understand it, we have to meditate upon it. And these are the meditations given in the Vedas. Especially in the Rig Veda. Let's look at what else is in this Upanishad about this. Verse number 17. Idam ve tat madhu dadyang atharvanoh ashwin bhyam ucha uvach tat etat rishi pashyan ev uchat atharvan ashvinah dadhiche ashvayam shirah pratyeryatam savam madhu प्रवोच दधान त्व अष्ट्रहम यद सहस्रवपि कश्यम वाम iti. This is verily that meditation on mutual aids which the Dhichi versed in the Atharva Ved. So this is the first part of that, these verses which is being repeated. Imparted to the two Ashwins. Observing this deed, the seer said, and seer is who? The Dhichi Rishi, or Rishi the Dhichi. Observing this deed, the seer said, O Ashwins, you fixed an equine head on the shoulders of the Dhichi, who was versed in the Atharva Veda. O destroyers of enemy forces, in fulfillment of his promise, he imparted to you the meditation on mutual aids relating to the sun, as also the secret meditation on them relating to the self. So seeing the deeds of the two Ashwins, there is another Rishi over here, Rishi by the name of Kakshivat. Okay. So that Rishi said to the Ashwins, "O Ashwins, both of you substituted a horse's head on Rishi Dadichi in order to get instructed on the Madhu Vidya. O mighty Ashwins, the sage Dadichi, he was true to his promise made to you when you approached him first, because they both approached to Rishi and they said, we want to know that meditation. And he revealed it to you, that doctrine. And those two doctrines are, the first is that relating to the sun. And there's another story over there about that meditation on the sun. One time, Lord Vishnu, he got very proud of his own superiority and excellence over the other gods. And in order to restore or bring that pride down, there is a ritual again, pravargya, which got started. So all the rites connected with pravargya, sacrifice, are for restoring the head of this yajna purush, the person identified with the sacrifice. Because in that story, even the head of the Vishnu was severed. There was some kind of a mischief played by the other gods, other devatas. So this rite is connected with the sun. So all of these stories are to let us know that we should not get our ego in place. Even the deities, times they get very proud of their own superiority over others. Whether it's a Indra or over here the Vishnu also. And there's a second doctrine which is relating to the self, which is dealt in this section. In fact, throughout the whole chapter, we see a hint of that. When they say this doctrine should be kept secret, that is the instruction of the seer in this mantra. Keep it secret means do not keep on spreading it. Do not keep on talking about it. Do not advertise it. Because ultimately, all these vidyas are supposed to help you to know yourself, not to advertise it. So that is the reason for the secrecy. So secret does not mean that do not tell anybody, but keep it to yourself. And when somebody is qualified, we learned that also last week, qualifications. And qualifications are all those virtues which we need to have as a student. So then it's okay to share it, but do not keep bragging about yourself, about your own achievements. So that's what we learn from these verses and from these stories also. Sometimes with the help of the stories, we can remind ourselves again and again if our own ego starts to jump up. And then two more verses, verse number 18. Idam ve tat madhu dadyanj atharvanoh ashvin uvach tatet rishi pashyan ev uchat purush chakre he dvipada puruh chakre he chatushpada puraha sapakshi bhutva pura purush avishat iti sava ayam purushah sarvasu purushu purushyaha न एतेन किंचन अवृतम na enana kinchan avritam. This is verily that meditation or mutual aids with the Dhichi, versed in the Atharva Ved, imparted to the two Ashwins. Observing this deed, the seer said, the Lord created bodies with 2 feet and bodies with 4 feet. Dvipada Chatushpada. That Supreme Being first entered the bodies as the subtle body. As he dwells in all bodies, he is called Purusha. There is nothing that is not enveloped by him, nothing that is not pervaded by him. So he's talking about that Purusha. So now in this mantra, he is briefly declaring the unity of the self. That means the soul. And sums up the knowledge of the self, which has been elaborately dealt with so far. The seer reveals the unity of existence. Or in other words, you can say the homogeneous nature of the self in all beings. And how is this meditation to be practiced? This is what is explained in this mantra. He, the Supreme Lord, created the bodies in this universe. All the bodies have been created by him. So that's how we see the similarity in all of us. Normally we talk about my father, my mother, my family, my lineage. But ultimately, he is the Father. He is the one who created. That's why we are all connected. We got to meditate on that. This was also described in the 4th section of the 1st chapter. He created human beings with 2 feet and animals with 4 feet. Dvipada, that means 2 feet. Dvipad. Chatushpada, 4 feet. So he is the one who created everything. Having thus created different bodies, it's almost like compared to a house. The Lord entered into them as the subtle principle. That's why we say this is a temple. And in this temple, God resides. So we can meditate on that. Considering this body as a temple. Deho devalya prokta. This deha, this body is a devalya. Devalya means a temple. Bird in this mantra, because Pakshi means bird. Bird in this mantra represents the subtle body. And when he said the body is Pura, that is a gross body. So in this gross body, there is a subtle body. And on account of his dwelling in all bodies, he is designated as a Purush. So Purush is the divinity. Pura is this body. And Pakshi is, or the bird is the subtle body. The Purush fills or pervades all alike. He is identical with Brahma. We learn that in Bhagavad Gita also. And in the Mahavakyas from the other Upanishads, Aham Brahmasmi, when we say that Aham means that the self in here, the Atma is nothing but Brahma. To support this view, the mantra adds that there is nothing which is not enveloped by him, and there is nothing which is not penetrated by him. Everything is pervaded by him from inside as well as from outside. So when we meditate like that, there's only one divinity, no place where the divinity does not reside. It's everywhere homogeneously. We got to meditate on that. The last mantra of this Madhu Brahman, and this is mantra number 19. Idam vetat madhu dadyanch atharvanoh ashwin bhya uchat vach tat et ऋषि पश्यन् एव उचत रूपम रूपम प्रति रूपो बभूव तदस्य रूपम प्रति चक्षणाय इंद्रो मायाभि पुरुरूप ईयते युक्तः यस्य हर्यः शतादश इति हयं वे हर्यः अयं वे दश सहस्राणि बहुनि च अनन्तानि च तत् एतत् ब्रह्मा अपूर्व मन परम अनंतरम बाह्यम अयम आत्मा ब्रह्म सर्वा अनुभू इति अनुशासनम इति पंचमम ब्राह्मणम. This is verily that meditation on mutual aids with the Dadichi, versed in the Atharva Veda, imparted to the two Ashwins. Observing this deed, the seer said, the Supreme Being assumed the likeness of each form. That form of his is for his revelation. On account of false notions, the Supreme Being is perceived as manifold, for to him are yoked 10 organs, nay, hundreds of them. He indeed is the organs. He indeed is 10 and thousands, numerous and countless. That Brahm is without and distant and without consequent, without interior and without exterior. This self which experiences everything is Brahm. This is the instruction of all Vedanta. Vedanta really means end of Vedas, the last part of Vedas. That's called Vedanta. So the entire Madhu Vidya, the meditation on the identity of this phenomenal existence and the absolute being through various references to this very close interdependence, also the mutual correlation among the components aspects. Because these components, these aspects, they make up this phenomenal existence as a whole. These are all little parts of that whole. And that is what is being concluded over here. How the Supreme Being projected this phenomenal world of names and forms. From that one, how it became many. Whichever form he projected, he assumed the likeness of that form. He assumes the shape of an ant also. And he resembles the ant then. He assumes the form of an elephant and looks like an elephant. So in other words, he appears in accordance with all the limiting adjuncts. which are called upadhis, the limitations. So in a human form, also, the same God, the same Brahm. And this appearance, which is due to the upadhis, the limiting adjuncts, the names and forms, is for the visualization, for the sake of meditation. Visualization, because Atma, Brahm, doesn't have any form, doesn't have any color, doesn't have any smell. It's everywhere, equally present. But when we see the form, we say, yeah, this I can meditate upon. So you can say, although he is formless, for realizing him through meditation and worship, he is to be visualized in some form or the other, according to our taste, according to our temperament. Because if Brahm is nameless, formless, it is very difficult to conceive by the ordinary mind. That's why our rishis, they gave us so many different forms, so many different names, so that we can conceive it through this limited mind of ours. So this is the reason why Brahm has put on that manifold appearances. And in this mantra, it's also said how he did it through Maya, his own illusory power, a false identification with our own body results in the false notions superimposed by ignorance. And that's why the Supreme seems manifold to us. Even though he is the same, he is pure, he is a non-dual consciousness. But because of this Maya, we see manifold. The nature of Maya, by which he appears as manifold, has been stated in many Upanishads. In some Upanishads, they say that just as horses are yoked to a chariot, and even in this mantra, when he says dance, the 10 organs are yoked to the individual body, which is compared to a chariot, actually. We learned that from other Upanishads. And 10 are 5 sense organs, 5 action organs. That's where the 10 come from. But then he says, nay, hundreds of organs are yoked, or even thousands are, because individual bodies are many. And to every one, 10 organs of action and knowledge are yoked. You can multiply. How many there can be then? He indeed is these organs. Because if he is everything, and he is in everything, so he is these organs. He indeed is the 10,000, many and endless numbers, as well as objects. That's what Arjun saw in that Virat Roop. Many mouths, many arms. The body which was so big, he didn't know the beginning or the end or the middle of it, which is called Virat Roop. The large number of individual bodies, the senses and the sense objects are but the Supreme Self. So this is what this Rishi is trying to tell us. Get focused on that one even in many. He seems to be possessing manifold forms since there are infinite number of bodies. That's why this mantra is Anant, endless. You cannot count it. But due to our ignorance, superimposition, false knowledge, we hold the self as something different from the organs. And we wrongly believe that there are as many souls as there are individual bodies and organs. We start saying my soul and your soul. Or a soul in the plant and soul in the animal. The organs always perceive the outer name and form and are not accustomed to see the inner truth. That's where arises this erroneous conception of many souls corresponding to many bodies. With a view to avoid any misunderstanding of this passage, this concluding mantra of this section reconciles all contradictions by saying that Brahm is without cause and effect, without interior and without exterior, which transcends all duality. Over here, the final declaration and the conclusion of the theme of this section is stated. The self, who is the all-experiencer, the inner self in all, is Brahm, about whom the Upanishad promised to teach us previously. You remember Rishi Yajnavalkya said that I will teach you. He said, I will teach you Brahm, and by the knowledge of whom people will become the all as declared in the other mantras. This is the meditation known as Madhu Vidya, the teaching of Upanishad which confers immortality. So how do we meditate? Sure, in order to deal with this world, we got to remember that we have different bodies, we have different functions to do. We do have the names and we do have the forms also. But at least when we meditate, few minutes a day, we can bring our mind to this ultimate truth. Whichever form we use to worship, but remember that it is not limited to that form only. Brahm is everywhere. The divine light is everywhere. This knowledge is the one which is connecting us all. For a few minutes a day, we should definitely bring this in our mind to get the benefit of these meditations. And this is the secret truth. When he says secret, this is the secret because it's profound. And to say that the world veils him is ignorance, because ignorance veils it, the truth reveals it. To realize that the world reveals him is knowledge. So this is called Brahm Vidya. So this Vidya, we have to first experience and then live our life according to this Vidya. how does the world reveal him? But for him, how can the world exist? Existence is he. Creation is he. And the destruction is he too. That's why Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, they are all actually one. The creator is he, and the created is he alone. He does not change by his creation. He is non-different from his creation. Why? Because it's not external to him. It's not different from him. And this is the great mystery of God and his creation. The meditation on honey reveals this mystery, reconciles all contradictions. Contradictions are only because of our ignorance. We don't understand. We have not experienced it yet. So contradictions come. But when we meditate, all the problems get resolved. And outcome of that is the supreme peace and supreme bliss. If we want to know our meditation is working or not, or are we on the right path or not, is there more peace in our mind? Where agitation resided, is there a peace? Do we feel oneness with others? Or are we creating these walls out of our own arrogance? Or based upon these forms, the names, where were we born? What kind of a title we have? Or how much we have accumulated? So we got to see how we identify ourselves. So that's what we have to meditate upon. This is the meditation these great rishis are telling us to do. Let's end the class here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much for joining.